Hi guys, so today I'm going to talk to you guys about peak week and exactly what peak week is. Peak week pretty much is manipulating your physique to bring it in the best that you can for the day of the competition. So for us, it's always about getting our skin as lean as we can so that the muscle can show through, and it's about getting the muscle as full and rounded as it can, because you want the curves of the muscle. You know, competing, whether it's for men or women, it's all about curves. You know, the curve of the muscle, whatever muscle you're showing off. So there's 3 different elements that play a factor in bringing in the muscle fuller and bringing your skin in leaner. And it's sodium, carbohydrates, and water. So sodium, obviously salt, sodium binds to water and keeps it in the body. Glycogen, which is carbohydrates, so when you consume carbohydrates, your body converts it to glycogen and it's pulled into the bloodstream, and glycogen is stored in the muscle. You know, when you go to the gym and you've got all that vascularity and all your veins pumping, that's actually your body pulling the glycogen into the muscle. So the transport system for glycogen is water. So you have to have water for glycogen to bind to pull it into the muscle. And the third thing, which is water, obviously, that I just talked about, is the transport system for everything in your body. So what happens with sodium is it keeps the water in your body. With glycogen, it uses it as a transport system to put that glycogen into the muscle. So when I do a peak week for a client or for myself, I usually start at anything from 5 to 10 days out. The week before your show, and I usually like to start at 5 days out. So the week before your show, you shouldn't be focused on building muscle. And you shouldn't even be focused on dropping weight either, because at this point your physique should be peaked, meaning that all the work's been done, and now going into peak week, all you're going to do are these little minor manipulations. You're not focused on building muscle, and you're not focused on dropping weight. Because if you are focused on dropping weight, and you go to the gym and you're doing cardio all day and all night, and you're not manipulating your glycogen and your water and your sodium accordingly, you will end up losing muscle, and you will end up coming in softer. I've seen a lot of competitors on stage with soft glutes, and that's the number one area you're going to lose it, is because your glutes are doing all the work with the cardio. So you've got to know what to do in respect to the two together. So I started with carb depleting, and the reason I want to carb deplete is to pull all the glycogen out of the muscle. Then I carb load so that I can get the muscle to pull all the glycogen back in. And then right before your show, I'm going to carb deplete you again. But this is where the magic starts to happen, right? Because I'm going to manipulate it along with the water and the sodium. So when I go into the carb loading phase, what I do is I increase your water intake the week of the show, and I drop your sodium 5 days from a show. So we carb load you for the 3 days that I mentioned, 2 to 3 days, and this again depends on your physique. If I have some clients, I might not carb load, carb deplete, carb load. I might go straight into carb depleting, carb loading, or I might just go straight into carb loading. So it definitely depends on your physique. So, but let's say starting off with 5 days before a show, what I'm going to do is for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to carb deplete you, and then I'm going to have you go to failure training in the gym. And what that means is you're going to train a muscle and do as many reps as you can till you go to failure and you can't do another rep on that muscle. Because what I'm doing is depleting the glycogen from your muscle. And because we're not putting any more carbs in, we're going to deplete it. So I'm spending those 3 days, dropped your sodium, and now I'm carb depleting you. We're keeping your water intake up. So we're going to go from 1 gallon of water to 1.5 gallons to probably 2 gallons. Going into Thursday, you're going to drop your water back down to 1 gallon, and keep your sodium levels low. Your sodium for average daily intake for sodium is around 2,500 milligrams. So when I say low, I'm saying 500 to 1,000 milligrams. So keep your sodium low. And then now what we're going to do is Thursday, I'm going to start carb loading you, which is putting some carbs back into your system. I'm going to put them in slowly with every meal. And then going into Friday, I'm going to cut your water at about 1 o'clock. If you have a tendency to want to be one of those competitors that gets very, very thirsty, you can wait up until 5 o'clock to cut your water. So you don't have to cut it at 1 o'clock. I personally prefer to cut my water at 1 o'clock because going 24 hours with water doesn't bother me. So anytime between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, you want to cut your water. And Friday, I cut my sodium. So whatever water I'm putting in my body is just getting flushed right out. It's just going right through me. Because remember, sodium binds to water and keeps it in your body. So now that I've cut my sodium on Friday, there's no sodium for my water to bind to. And now I've got the carbs coming in. At 6 o'clock, before that, the first 3 meals that I have, while I have the half a gallon of water that I'm going to drink before, say, 5 o'clock, those meals I keep with little bits of carbs in them. Not too much, just a little bit of carbs. Maybe I might do 2 ounces of sweet potato on each meal. But then right at 6 o'clock, I want to have a big carb meal. And so I'll have my first carb meal, or my client will have their first carb meal at 6 o'clock. And I'll kind of do check-ins and see how you look. And then the second carb meal is, and at this point there's no water going into your body and there's no sodium. Second carb meal is about 2 hours later because it gives your body time to process the carbs. So what's going to happen is the transport system, the carbs are going to convert to glycogen, and the transport system for glycogen is water. So now you have no water going through your digestive system, but this glycogen that you now, from the carbs that's now in your bloodstream, wants to go to the muscle because you've depleted all the glycogen. It keeps wanting to fill up that muscle as much as it possibly can. So you need to it needs water to be able to transport into the muscle. So because you don't have the water, it's going to pull the water subcutaneously, which is the water from your skin. And this is where the magic happens. So anywhere you have water retention, and it's usually going to pull it from your waistline first, and then from there it'll go into like your lower body, which will usually be your thighs, upper thighs, and under the glute area. That's where. So you manipulate the amount of carbs that you need depending on how much water you need to pull into the muscle. And that's what's going to give you that full rounded look for all your muscles. And it's going to give you that tight look with your skin. When you wake up the next morning, your abs are going to be showing and your muscles are going to be popping. And it's literally going to be happening overnight as that glycogen is getting pulled into the muscle. So the next morning when you get up, take a look at your physique. If you still see some water retention, you still feel like you could be a little bit tighter, have some more carbs. If you feel like you're tight enough and everything looks great because you don't want to come in too hard and too tight, especially for bikini, then you skip the carbs and you have some protein and some fat. Don't do the carbs. But if you need to come in tighter, do another carb meal. Usually I pace it where you're going to have another carb meal, and then right before you go on stage, have some more carbs, because there's nothing worse than going on stage and being spacey and out of it and carb depleted, and you hear the commentator making all these jokes about, oh, she hasn't had any carbs. Nobody should ever step on that stage without carbs in their system, because you want to be alert, you want to have high energy, and you want to have those carbs giving you that burst of energy when you get up on stage. So literally, when I'm standing in line waiting to go on stage, I have got some carbs in my hand. I'm eating those carbs. Anything from 10 to 20 minutes before I go on stage, I have those carbs, and I'm going to have the carbs before I go on stage. So I hope that helps you guys. It's a lot more scientific. You got to know exactly how many carbs do you have. You can do a lot of research on the internet. You're more than welcome to contact me, ask me. You know, I manipulate the carbs based on your weight and based on how much water retention I predict you're holding. Are you holding 2 pounds of water retention? Do you have maybe 3, 4, 5 pounds that you need to get rid of? So it just depends on the water retention and your overall physique and how it looks. Some people are very lucky. They don't have to do any peak week program because they've got very lean, tight skin and they look great. And some of us, like myself, we have to do the peak week to get rid of the extra water retention. I found there's 2 physiques out there. There's a physique which I call an estrogen dominant physique, and it's usually a lot of the younger girls. that physique tends to be more curvier on the lower body. They have a tendency to be able to build glutes a lot easier and come in with very fuller glutes. And they have a harder time building upper body. So they have a harder time building shoulders and back and biceps. That's estrogen dominant. And it goes with a lot of younger competitors, but it can also be the case for older competitors, especially older competitors that are taking hormone replacement. The second physique that I found out there is the physique that I call testosterone dominant. This physique tends to be more narrower in the hips, have smaller glutes. It's a lot harder for them to build glute development. They have to do a lot of glute isolation because they can tend to build their legs over their glutes. And they have very much easier time building upper body. They can build shoulders, biceps, back a lot easier. So take a look at your physique and analyze it and think to yourself, am I estrogen dominant or am I testosterone dominant? And then that can also help you when you look at your physique, and you'll know whether you're carrying more water retention or you're carrying less water retention, if you need to do a more stronger peak week program or if you need to do a lighter peak week program. And if 1 week before your show, your abs are showing, your glutes are full, all your muscles are full, don't mess with it. Don't do any manipulation. Just cruise into the show, doing whatever you were doing before, keep doing it and step on stage. But if 1 week before the show, you look at your physique and your glute hammy's not showing and your abs are not showing, then you have to get ready to do some manipulation. Either that, or you're gonna find a sauna, a body wrap, anything like that that's gonna pull the water out of you naturally. Cardio, doing tons of cardio the week before the show is very tough. If you tend to have big glutes and you can afford to sacrifice some of those glutes by getting rid of the water retention, by doing lots of steady cardio, with a neoprene waist belt around you, then definitely go for it. You can do it that way. But if you have smaller glutes and you do not want to sacrifice any glutes, do not do the cardio. Don't do the cardio. So it's just, you gotta just weigh it out and really kind of analyze your physique and decide what's the best for you. And 2 weeks before, you can try something and see if it works. Take pictures and see how you look, so you can kind of test it out. But again, like I said, if you have any questions whatsoever, if you need any help, feel free to message me anytime. You can get a hold of me. My contact information is always down below. You can get a hold of me on Instagram, Gidget Migliaccio, or My Pro Prep is my competition prep company. And if you need suits, My Pro Suits is my competition suit company. So looking forward to seeing you guys on stage. Have an awesome prep. Stay motivated and keep working, keep grinding. It's going to be here before you know it.